Bad day? A little sick? All right, let me fix these settings really quick because for some reason my slides keep getting moved. So let's go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to pull them back up. Here we go. There we go. Ooh, some hot cocoa. That sounds delicious. Good warm way to wake up this morning. Awesome. Well, can you help start out our lesson by reviewing yesterday? We talked about prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. So I would love if we could dissect the word eukaryotic up here and prokaryotic, both of those. Where will we slice them? What are our key words that we are using to help jog our memory? And then let's fill this chart out. You're right, Macy. Pro equals no. Perfect. And U equals what? It starts with the T. Yes, U equals true. So somebody put true underneath there. And we're talking about no and true what? And when we're talking about eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells. Macy's on fire this morning. Yeah, the nucleus. Right? Good. And so we stuck it on here. We've got a true nucleus and no nucleus. Good. Does no nucleus mean no DNA? Is that what it means? No, it just means no nucleus, no fireproof box in the middle of the cell for it to stay safe in. Yeah, you're right, James. It's just kind of messy in there. We looked at this diagram yesterday, right? So in the prokaryotic cell, you see this strand. It looks kind of like yarn. Okay, and it's just throughout the cell in a prokaryotic cell. But when we looked closer here at the eukaryotic cell, this is the nucleus, and you can see those same red thread-like structures inside this orange nucleus. And the difference is that it's all contained in a safe spot within the eukaryotic cell. Good. What else do we remember about the difference? Ah, yes, somebody put DNA. They both have DNA, right? What else do we remember about eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells? That's the biggest one. Addison, yes. Jenna. Addison, will you put that in there? The eukaryotic cells are more complex. All right? They have those many organelles in there, and each organelle has a membrane. It's organized and complex. What's the opposite? Good. And prokaryotic would be simple. Good. They're more simple cells. They're basic, right? Awesome. You guys did a really good job. You're doing an excellent job. Awesome. So let's jump from there into today's lesson. While I do that, would somebody like to get on the microphone? And we talked about how there was an order from like atoms to organisms. Could someone jump on the mic and tell me what those are? Nick, would you like to get on the mic?
Yes, but I do apologize. I was not paying attention for the moment. Could you repeat what you want me to talk about?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So we talked about how things start as small as an atom and how they get bigger and work together to get up to an organism. So like multiple atoms make molecules, multiple molecules make organelles. You want to take it? Could you take it from organelles?
Yeah. I get you. But basically, from organelles, then there's cells, and from that, it's tissue. After that, I believe it's sorry, I'm kind of sick. After that, it would be organ systems. After that, it would be organisms.
Yes, awesome. Yes, thank you. Tell Nick how awesome he is. That was so good. So good. Seriously, I'm so impressed. And he had his hand in the air before he even knew the question. He's on it. Awesome. So we go all the way from those non-living things we talked about in chapter 2, atoms and molecules, and how those all work together and build upon one another to give us what we need for life. And then he took us all the way through our living organisms, starting at cells and how cells work together to make organisms. Way to go. So, Gracie is here. We've been missing you. Gracie, could you read our goals for today? And she's got her camera on and is smiling.
In my slides,
Well, don't-
never mind, there they are. What are the functions of organelles? Nucleus, nucleus,
Mitochondria.
mitochondria, cell membrane, chloroplast, plant cells, cell wall, plants. Thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. These words are hard for my brain to process. Where is the DNA located in the cell? What two organelles are in a plant cell that aren't in an animal cell? And how can you explain the phase a cell is a semi-permeable? I missed y'all. It's good to be back. And also, thanks for
Yes, we miss Gracie. Tell Gracie how much we missed her. Your presence was super missed. I mean, we're not just saying that. We really did miss you. Thank you for jumping on mic and attempting these words because they are crazy. All right. Yes. They were crazy. And this is what we're going to attack today. We are going to attack the anatomy of a cell. All right. We're going to learn all about a cell and the different organelles or mini organs in a cell that help make it function. I want you to use your pointers and point to the words that you are most familiar with in the objectives today and our goals. What are you most familiar with? DNA, nucleus, mitochondria. Saw somebody point at cell membrane, an animal cell, plant cell. Ooh, someone's pointing at semi-permeable. That makes me happy. Good. Okay, we could stay here, but I'm not going to. I'm tempted to, but let's keep on moving and take a peek at our cells for today. Let's take a tour of the animal cell. All right, right here in the middle is called the nucleus. And Lizzie, I think you said earlier you mentioned the egg. Did you say something about an egg earlier?
In chat about difference between the animal cell and plant cell or whatever. One of them that doesn't have the membrane around the DNA, so it acts like a runny egg. That's what I said.
Yes, good. I actually love that. And then when I look at this diagram of the nucleus, you see the actual two parts. So the purple part is part of the nucleus. And then so is this yellow part that looks like a sunny side up egg. Yeah, tell Lizzie that that was great. And that's what I love about this class is that we're going to always continue to encourage each other, especially when we take risks, right? Because it's risky to turn on your microphone. It's risky to type in chat. So remember that as we respond to each other and as we choose to respond, that we want to continue to like encourage and bring each other up in this class. So always we haven't had any problems with that, but always make sure that we're always encouraging each other. And if for some reason you are just annoyed by me or someone else someday, make sure you keep that to yourself because we don't need that in here, okay? But This is all positive because this class doesn't tend to have that, and that's what I love about you all so much. So that nucleus. This is the nucleus, and inside of it, everybody just say it out loud. I know if you want to turn your mic on and say it, do it. But everyone say this word, even if you're not on your mic. Say nucleolus. I mean, what a weird word, right?
Nucleolus.
Yes, say it, guys. Nucleolus.
Nucleolus.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that like a fun word to say? And
I said that.
The
yeah,
mighty nucleolus. Oh god, my voice is not ready to do this stuff today.
yes. Keep them coming. Anybody else going to say nucleolus? I mean, it's fun.
Nucleolus.
Nucleolus.
It kind of reminds me of like a roly-poly. I don't know why. Maybe it's just a little round roly word. And it is. Go for it, Rach. Anyone else want to say?
Nucleolus.
Yes. Any others? It's really fun. So don't hold back. Yeah, like ravioli. Yeah. And so what happens in this nucleus? It's like the nucleolus is the innermost core of the nucleus. If you think about like what Lizzie said with the egg, like if you like does anybody like dippy eggs? Rennie is here for the dippy eggs. My daughter she calls them dippy eggs. Some people call them sunny side up or over easy. I wish I could serve you all an egg today. But if we did, we'd be having them sunny side up because that is what our nucleus and the nucleolus looks like. And the nucleus is sheerly for protection and organization of your DNA. All right. If you think about this nucleus as like a filing cabinet, all right, the whole thing, the nucleus is a filing cabinet. The nucleolus is kind of like a drawer, right? It's a compartment inside of the nucleus that keeps that DNA safe. All right. We feel good about the nucleus. A lot of you felt good with the nucleus coming in. Give me a green check, red X. The nucleus is at the center of the cell. It houses our DNA. It protects our DNA. Perfect. Then let's keep moving. The nucleus protects our DNA. Up next is the mitochondria. Does somebody want to read what the mitochondria is? Lizzie, you want to read that?
Sure. Sure, here we go. Now it's working. The mitochondrion, the powerhouse of the cell, the site where the energy stored in glucose is converted to ATP. The folds inside the mitochondria increase the surface area so more ATP can be made.
Absolutely. So I want to grab a tissue. Actually, my nose is running, but it will help me with this analogy. Is the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. It's where all of our carbohydrates that we eat go to be processed for cell use, so that our body can utilize the food we eat. All right. And when Lizzie was reading, she talked about the folds inside of the cell that increase the surface area. Can everybody use your pointers and point right here at those folds? All right, what basically happens is it's the magic of like a tissue. All right, this is the size of like my hand or a little bigger, right? But if I take this tissue and I fold it and I go forward and back, an accordion fold it. You know what I'm talking about? Forward, back. I can't do it in the air very well. Forward, back, forward, back. I'm getting it pretty small, right? Now, that wasn't a very good demonstration, but then I could even fold it this way, right? Like if you fold your fitted sheets for your bed or towels. Yeah, right, Nick? It comes more compact. Now, is there any less of my tissue in here? No, it's still that full size. It's just more compact. I can fit more inside, and that's exactly what's happening on the inside of your nucleus in those or your mitochondria, in those folds. Why do we want there to be more space? Why do we need all this space inside the mitochondria? Why do we want these folds? Like, why do we need all this room? Yeah, the more ribbon in there, the more room in there, the more that it can produce energy. Does that make sense? It's kind of like if I had on this tissue and I could draw a bunch of little like pots, like you cook in. It's like more pots to cook food in. You know what I'm saying? The more and more you can fit on here and fold up and fit in that mitochondria, it makes it more efficient. It makes it more efficient. Helps it make more energy. Does that make sense? There's more room for molecules to come in and to be shaped into the form of ATP that our cells use. Okay, so I'm trying to think about this, Jenna. Think about the pocket in your coat. All right? You're about to leave today and you are hungry. And I hand you a giant muffin. And I'm like, "Here, Jenna, stick this in your pocket." All right, like it's big, it's smushy, it's great. But what if I gave you, instead of a muffin that was big and fluffy, I gave you a bag full of your favorite cereal? You could almost fit more in there. Does that make sense? Because of its shape and its size and its compatibility. It's really not the best example. I know. I'm just making everybody hungry. All right, but those folds make it efficient. That gives it more space in the same size. Okay? And the mitochondria, when you think about this picture right here, makes energy for the cell. All right? The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Would somebody like to read for me about the cytoplasm? The cytoplasm is throughout the entire cell. Katie, you want to read for me about the cytoplasm?
Yeah. Cytoplasm, the jelly-like substance with organelles, where most of the metabolic activity takes place. ATP production, cellular
respiration,
photosynthesis.
I know, we got some crazy words breaking out today. Tell Katie she's awesome. So the cytoplasm is kind of like, have you guys ever had a cream-filled donut? Sorry, Jenna, don't hate me. It's back to food again. It's like the cream-filled donut. All right? The cytoplasm is the cream. It's the filling. It's what's inside of these cells to keep it from, otherwise, if you shook it, the organelles would be like bouncing off the edges of the cell, right? But because there's cytoplasm, like a cream filling in that cell, it keeps the organelles in place. Does that make sense? So they don't just go floating everywhere across the cell. It gives the cell some rigidity. Does that make sense? It's just like Jell-O. The jelly-filled Jell-O substance of the cell that holds everything in place. It also kind of acts like a road system, like an interstate system, right? That's how like molecules go from the DNA back to the mitochondria over to the ribosome. It provides like a place for movement, okay? That's the jelly-like substance in a cell is the cytoplasm. If you have a question and you're like, I don't get it, put it to me in the private chat so I can help clarify for you. How about the vacuole? Somebody read to me about vacuole. Draven, will you read?
All right. The vacuole stores water, food, and waste products.
Absolutely. Do any of you have big trash cans at your house that you throw all your stuff in? I like to think of it like that. Now, it's not all garbage. Like, water is not garbage. Food is not garbage. It's like storage. It's kind of like a storage closet or a junk drawer. All right. A vacuole is storage. So if you remember the word store or storage, that's what our vacuoles are important for. Storage in the cell. They keep important things in a place so that they're just not floating around. All right. Nick, will you read about the cell membrane or the plasma membrane of the cell? This is with those lipids that we talked about in Unit 2.
Yep. Right. The cell membrane. Membrane surrounding the cell that monitors what enters and leaves the cell. Semi-permeable. Yeah, whatever. Made up of
Phospholipid.
phospholipid. There we go. Bilayer, whatever. So both surfaces of the membrane can interact with water.
Awesome, Nick. Those were tricky words. You're all over it today. You're doing great. The cell membrane, again, we talked about that. It's protection. I literally just want you to know protection, right? We know it's made of fats or lipids, but what that does, it's like the skin of the cell. I mean, think about what our bodies would look like if we didn't have skin. What? I know. We'd look so weird. You would see all our vessels and muscles and all the things. All right. Yes. The plasma membrane. Yes, Jenna, is protection. Good. Perfect. Plasma membrane is protection. Let's keep moving. Next up, we have a ribosome. A ribosome. Macy, would you read to me about what a ribosome is?
The site of protein synthesis. Some float in the cytoplasm,
Yep.
but most are located on the rough ER.
Yes, awesome. So ribosomes, we're going to spend a whole unit learning about ribosomes because they're that important. It talks about proteins. All right, we talked about proteins in Unit 2. A non-living thing that all of our cells and our bodies need are proteins. And ribosomes are like the meat packing plant, right? If you think about proteins being like meat, think about the ribosome being like the meat packing plant or the butcher. All right, they're the ones that process and package the proteins and send them where they need to go. All right, just like Macy read sorry, it was just Macy that read, right? Am I wrong? I'm sorry, I'm losing it. Just like she read, the ribosomes, yes, thank you. I started losing my mind. Macy read, the ribosomes can be in the cytoplasm, but they are really attached to what we call the rough ER, the endoplasmic reticulum. It's this right here is our rough endoplasmic reticulum. They sit on the outside of it and kind of make it look like the rough endoplasmic reticulum has a rash. Little red dots, like hives on the endoplasmic reticulum. That's where ribosomes like to hang out. Great reading, guys. Let's take a peek at two things in the plant cell that are a little bit different. So the plant cell and animal cell have a lot of the same organelles. There are only two major differences in like organs, like, right? We have organs, organelles that plant cells have that animal cells do not. So let's look at those really quick. The first thing that is different between a plant cell and an animal cell is a cell wall. So instead of that plasma membrane, all right, just having that plasma membrane for protection, plant cells are outside. If you think about a bunny and a leaf, what would be some differences between a bunny and a leaf? Bunnies can hop, right? So bunnies can move, plants cannot. Bunnies also are bigger. Bunnies have fur, right? Fur for protection on the outside. Plants do not. So because we have skin and we have hair and fur, and just like animals like dolphins and sharks have that cartilage on the outside, plants are often more vulnerable. And they still live outside, right? That are unprotected areas. So plants have another layer of protection called a cell wall. Lizzie, will you read about that cell wall?
The cell wall, the extra outer barrier, it provides structure and support for plants.
Good. So the cell wall is not only important to cells for protection, it also gives them strength. It's made out of cellulose. We talked about cellulose being a starch or a carbohydrate that was rigid. That's why it's important for plants. It's rigid. It helps them stand up straight. It's kind of like the skeletal system for a plant. And last but not least, Gracie, could you read about the chloroplast? The chloroplast is the last organelle in a plant cell that is different than an animal cell.
Yes, ma'am. Chloroplast, the organelle that plants use to turn sunlight into energy.
It's like the magic pot, right? It's like the magical pot. And we get to spend a lot of time learning about the chloroplast again in another unit. But the chloroplast is awesome. All right. You can really think about it as the magical pot, because what it does is it captures sunlight for the plants because they don't have to eat, right? They just sit outside and bask in the sun, capture that sunlight, and the chloroplast does the magical job of transferring sunlight into energy. Yes, Draven. Guys, this might be one of my favorite classes ever because we've had so much participation. So much participation today. I love it. All right. So, this is something that you should have covered in 7th grade life science. This should be a moderate review. Now, it's been a while since 7th grade life science, but what I would like you today to do is I would like you to draw a plant cell or an animal cell with these organelles in them. All right. You can snip pictures of this or the plant cell if you would like. Yes, I would love you to bring them to class tomorrow, and or both send them to me in my email, because then I could make a little presentation like this with all of your cells in it. We also have a really fun project that we're going to do with cells as well. All right. So we are going to end a little early today so that you can get your markers and crayons and colored pencils out and draw these. Okay? It is optional. It's not a grade. But I would love you to do it because, just like I said, for learning, I show up here and give you this stuff. I just need you guys to take it and process it. Does that make sense? Yeah, no worries at all. It's important to know the difference between what's a graded and required assignment versus what's like This is what Mrs. Rittenhouse, just like those flashcards or index cards I tell you to put near your desk area or your workspace. Just because it's a good idea. It's a good next step for you in your learning. You know what I mean? Awesome. Can I tell you something? Last year was a hard year for me, and like with teaching. But you all are such a bright spot in my heart. That you guys are so much fun. No, don't even be sorry, because you guys are so much fun this year that it makes me almost cry that you are so much fun, that you are participating, and that you guys are doing things. You make this class fun. Truly. All right. Yes. All of you, because all of you in this list that I see constantly participating in chat and turning on your cameras and letting me see your face, using your voices like you did just to say nucleolus. Say weird words with me. All right. Good. Awesome. Well, I want you to have an awesome, awesome day. Go make a cell. Okay. And I will see you.
This is
tomorrow morning.
Rivenhouse. Can you turn off
Yes,
the
sir.
recording?
I will stop the recording. Thank you for reminding me.
Was it all? Is it also